Good morning and welcome to the Builder's Risk webinar. We wanted to take a few minutes today and talk about preparing for hurricane season. And as most of you probably already know, it has already been an active season, and we currently are experiencing a tropical storm in the Gulf right now. So some of this information will not be new information, but we wanted to take a few minutes and just talk about our wind deductibles, when business submissions are suspended through our portal. Just talk about preparing, your conversations with your clients, and also how your clients can prepare for the approaching storm. So just wanted to reinforce that we want to be a partner with you for Builder's Risk and to talk about how we can help you customize the coverages and terms to be the best fit for you and your client. So we'll introduce myself. My name is Donna Berry, and I am one of your Builder's Risk contacts. So I may have talked to some of you about some of your Builder's Risk submissions, and I really do appreciate you taking the time to go through this training with us and just have a conversation about the hurricane season. So let's go ahead and get started. I wanted to just do a quick introduction about what the forecast looks like for the 2017 season. So we provided a few quotes that you may just, if you just Google or look up hurricane seasons, it does look like 2017 is to be a busy season. So they're expecting 2 to 4 major hurricanes. So want to just make sure that we are prepared and that we have the best coverage in place. 2016 was a busy year. We had 15 named storms, 7 hurricanes, and 3 that were Category 3 or stronger. So we ended, a strong hurricane season, and now it's looking to be like 2017 is going to be above normal for the Atlantic hurricane season. So want to make sure that we are just constantly communicating with our clients and that they understand the need for specific coverages. Since we're talking about the hurricane, here's a list of the upcoming 2017 names. As you know, or most of you may be in the path of Cindy, so we are experiencing that right now. And I just find it interesting to always look at the hurricane names. The names, they are short, distinctive names to avoid confusion and also to streamline communication. So the reason the storms are named is it's important when 2 or more storms develop at the same time. So it just helps with communications and making sure that you know what storm is approaching your area and what precautions you need to take. It's also important to understand the difference between a watch and a warning. And if you live or work in a path of storms or have experienced a storm in the past, you most likely understand the differences of this, but just wanted to take a few minutes to reinforce that a watch, it just means that tropical storm conditions will occur and that these are possible. So I'm sorry, it does not mean that they will occur, that it means that they are possible, that the conditions are right for a tropical storm. A warning is when the conditions are expected to take place in 36 hours or less. So it's always important to pay attention to the media, the news, to go online, to make sure that you understand where your clients are and what the conditions may be. So also wanted to talk about the hurricane watch and warning. So watches are important because they help you prepare, and warnings are extremely important because you do need to make preparations to possibly leave the area. I want to talk specifically about our coverages. So when you talk about hurricanes or tropical storms, wind is always a concern. So we handle wind 4 different ways. So depending on where you are, it is based on the county and or the distance to the coastline. So Texas to North Carolina, we have mandatory wind deductibles for the coastal counties. So those will be applied when you quote. It will be included on the quote letter, and we can have a discussion about that. Virginia North, we may apply a named windstorm deductible, or a wind and hail deductible based on the specific location. So they're not mandatory, but based on the specifics, one may be applied. And that's something that we would talk about. One, to make sure that the coverage that we're quoting is competitive, and two, to make sure that everyone understands what wind deductible is being applied, because there are some differences between the named windstorm deductible and the windstorm or hail percentage deductible. And we're going to talk about that. But it is based on where the property under construction is located, and for some counties it may be automatically mandatory. And then for some areas, the submission will hold so that we can take a closer look at it and see what is the best fit. Doesn't mean that we will apply one, we just may need to because of the specific location. It is extremely important to talk to your client and make sure that they are fully aware of what wind deductible is on their policy. After a storm, they may assume that the AOP deductible or the all other perils deductible will apply, which is usually, $1,000 to maybe $2,500. But if there is a named windstorm or a windstorm deductible, it could be much higher based on the completed value of the property. So you could be talking $20,000, $40,000, $80,000 just for a deductible. So it's extremely important that you feel comfortable talking about them. Give me a call. I will be happy to provide examples or talk about the specifics on any specific situation. So let's just talk about the named windstorm deductible first. So this deductible, this is for a named tropical windstorm or hurricane. So this has been declared by the National Hurricane Center of the National Weather Service. The time period is when the tropical storm or hurricane conditions exist and ending 72 hours following the termination of the last warning. So the time period is important. These can be percentages of 1, 2, and 5%. It is important to point out that we work off of the value is determined at the time of the loss. So it is value of the covered property is not based on the estimated completion value of the covered property. So this is at the time of the loss, what work has been done, that will be the percentage, that's the value that the percentage is based off of. It is not based off the completed value on the declarations page. So that's important to know, and it's important for the client to prepare before a storm, to know where they were in the project, and we'll talk about some steps that they can take just to make sure that there's no issues with any type of settlement or reporting a claim. So the named windstorm deductible applies when there is a named storm that has approached the area. So the windstorm or hail percentage deductible is any type of wind or hail damage. So it does not have to be a named storm. You see these on a regular basis, in the Southeast, so Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. So those areas usually have the windstorm or hail percentage deductible. So this is a deductible that's applied when there is any type of wind or hail damage. It does not have to be a named storm. This deductible is based off the completed value that's on the declarations page. So those are, the two main differences with this is what is the percentage based off of, what's the deductible based off what completed value, is it off the deck page or off the value at the time of loss, and then when does the deductible apply? So does it have to be a named storm, or is it any wind or hail damage? So we make this very clear on the quote and in the policy documents of what wind deductible is applied. I did skip over 2 slides, so I would just like to go back and talk about the all other perils and wind exclusions. There are very few areas that wind is automatically excluded, and you will know these areas, so it should not be a surprise. It will be very clear on the quote letter. These are in line with other, marketplace leaders. These are not unique counties or areas that we have decided to exclude wind. These are just the very high prone areas. So there are some areas that wind is automatically excluded, but it's on a very limited basis. So just wanted to point that out. We do apply a 35% rate reduction when wind is excluded because we are removing a huge peril from the coverage form. And then there are times when if you're in a county that's not coastal, not much of a wind concern, there may not be a wind deductible specifically applied to that account. So the AOP deductible would apply. So that would be the all other perils deductible. So I know I've shared a lot of information, and we've talked about 4 different ways that wind could be excluded, or wind could be handled by us. Just keep in mind that it is very clear on the quote letter, it's clear in the coverage form, and just let's have conversations about any concerns or questions that you might have. So just wanted to make sure that we understood that we do handle these differently based on where the property is located. So let's go to the flood screen, and I'm sorry that I've jumped around a little bit. So let's switch gears and talk about flood. So flood is available based on the zone that the property is located in. So we do not offer flood in zones A, V, or D. Those are the very high prone flood areas. For the areas that we do offer flood, we offer limits up to $2.5 million. Our minimum premium for flood is $100. And I need to make it very clear that our coverage form does not include flood automatically. So if you have concerns about flood or questions or want to make sure that you're offering the best coverage, it's best to ask for flood to be included. That will give us the opportunity to map the location, see what flood zone it's located in, and then have a conversation about what can be offered at that time. So if you are in an area or if you have a client that's concerned about flood, it is best to ask for that to be quoted or part of the policy. Let's talk about binding authority and what happens when a storm is approaching. So we do monitor the weather very closely, and we are notified when we need to suspend binding authority. So we will post on our website what area is affected. Submissions can still be entered into the portal or sent over to your underwriter. The quote will not be sent out until the suspension has been lifted. So we watch it very closely, and as soon as we possibly can, we lift those binding suspensions, because we want to be able to work with you and we want to be able to offer quotes, but we have to monitor the weather and the path of any approaching storm. So still submit business through the portal. You will receive a message if it's on hold for a storm or any other concern. And always feel free to contact your builder's risk team to discuss anything real specific. Let's talk about how you can help your clients prepare for the storm season. So I'm sure all of you review coverages and limits with your client on a regular basis. It is very important to have the correct completed value on the builder's risk policy. It's also very important to make sure that they understand the wind deductible. You want to make sure that they understand what the deductible is and how it is calculated. As always, you want to monitor the weather conditions. You want to do that for personal reasons and for your clients. You want to make sure that your staff is taken care of and that your clients are taken care of. So submit business timely to ensure it will be released before suspension is enforced. You also want to make sure that you have the claims process and contact information available. So if there is a need to report anything, you can do that very quickly. And our claims department has an excellent response time. And if you need anything, just let me know and I'll be glad to look into any issues that you may have. Let's talk about how your clients can prepare. So with construction sites, there are definitely some unique risks when a storm is approaching. So a few things that they should just keep in mind, and maybe when you're talking to them about how they can prepare and making sure the coverages are correct on the policy, Here are a few items just to keep in mind. The client is responsible for letting you know if the coverage limits are correct and report any changes once they are known of them. You may want to discuss writing a hurricane preparation plan, and this doesn't need to be anything real detailed. This could just be a quick memo that they write to their employees to understand what steps need to be taken when a storm is approaching. And it varies based on the size of the project. If it's a real large project, they may want a very detailed plan just because of the higher exposure. All clients want to monitor the weather conditions and be prepared to take the precautions that are necessary to make sure that the losses are limited. Time is money to the builders and to the clients, and they want to get back up and running as soon as possible once the storm has passed. So they want to make sure they monitor the weather conditions to take the appropriate steps before it's too late. Depending on the size of the project, they may need to work with local building departments. Depending on the location, the values, the type of project, that may be something they want to do, because the local building departments want to make sure that the right precautions are taking place so that losses are minimal and that the equipment, the materials, things are secured down. So you definitely want to secure the job site, make sure that they've taken precautions to limit any debris being scattered around or that could possibly cause a loss. So after the storm, they want to definitely assess the damage with caution. If any of you have experienced a storm, you want to make sure that check the power. Is the power on or off? What are the conditions of the job site? And then the client should also have the claims information handy so that they can report any claims quickly. Just want to make sure that you are aware that Shinra will be with you. We are a very solid company, and when you're placing your builder's risk business, storms are always a concern because of the varying exposures that are represented. So several carriers will come and go from the marketplace for builder's risk. And we are a solid company, and we will be with you before and after the storm. You have a dedicated builder's risk team here to help with any questions. So if you want to talk about wind or flood or any other coverages, please give us a call, and we'd love to talk to you about the specifics. All projects vary greatly based on the value, the location, the construction type. So there are different concerns for different risks. So we'd like to talk specifics with you. Our claims department has a solid experience with a quick response time. And we are just here to help you customize your terms and rates and coverages to be the best fit for your clients. So at this time, I'd like to see if we have any questions or any comments, anything specific that the group would like to talk about. You can utilize the chat box that's on the right-hand side of the screen and just enter in your chat and see what questions you might have. At this time, though, I will post my contact information, so please make sure to jot that down, and would love to hear from you. Even if it's not on any type of concern about a storm, we would like to talk about any builder's risk need that you have today.
Hey, Donna, 2 questions came in. One is how I register for the portal.
Oh, that's a great question. You can go to our website, which is Shinra.com, and there is an online link to the portal registration. So go to our homepage, select programs, so select Builder's Risk, and then there's an option for access the broker portal. Or you can email me at my contact information that's listed on the screen, and I'll be happy to get you registered.
Okay, another question is, can you write short-term policies?
Yes, we can, and that's a great question to ask at this time, because we take a look at that because we have to monitor our different exposures with our carrier at different times of the year. So we do offer short-term policies as low as 3 months. So we can go 3 months all the way to 24 months and customize the terms to be the best fit for your client.
Okay. What are the billing options?
Okay, our billing options are direct bill or agent bill. Well, great. Well, I so appreciate you all taking your time today. I hope that I shared some information or offered some clarification on the different wind deductibles, because it can be a little confusing because depending on the area, you may be more familiar with a different type of wind deductible, and we do have flexibility with our wind deductibles. So that's why I encourage you to give me a call. In some areas, we may apply a mandatory windstorm and hail deductible, but the named windstorm deductible may also be available depending on the specifics. So the coverages and the response of the form do vary. So want to make sure that we offer the best fit, and just want to reinforce, if flood is a concern, please ask for that to be quoted on the builder's risk, because it is not automatically included, but based on the location, we should be able to offer something. So I look forward to working with all of you, and I hope that you enjoyed this session, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.